Hello everyone, this is Ted Bauman, editor of the Bauman Letter, reporting to you from Cape Town, South Africa, where I'm spending some time this summer checking in on my house here. In 1937, Professor Ronald Coase wrote an article in which he talked about and raised the question of why is it that when people start businesses, they hire employees instead of engaging contractors. I mean, after all, markets are supposed to be perfectly efficient. Why would people then want to hire employees instead of just hiring contractors to do the work inside the company? Well, I think everybody knows the answer. There's a lot of cost involved in hiring contractors, mainly to do with things like trust and oversight and contractual compliance and that sort of thing. Essentially, what Professor Coase realized was that because of the nature of capitalist competition, it actually makes more sense to hire people, pay them a wage, and then subject them to non-market controls, i.e. telling them what to do, not entering into contracts over every little thing in order to be able to run your business. The problem is that when you do this, it becomes incredibly complicated to grow your business. Eventually, you need to hire managers just to manage the people who work for you. And pretty soon, if you keep growing, you need to hire managers to manage those managers. So Professor Coase realized that one of the biggest factors influencing the development of capitalist firms is, if in effect, the difficulty of managing their internal affairs. Now, back in the old days, people used to specialize in finding new talented people to run HR departments or customer service departments or internal operations. And people used to go fishing around for new great business buzzwords and new ways of doing things. That's why you'd see lots of books on the shelves at airport newsstands describing the next greatest thing. The problem was that every company had to implement those things, and it was expensive. So really, it was gradual improvement over the course of many, many decades, but not quite to where we are today. Where we are today is thanks to the digital revolution. Now, cloud computing has essentially revolutionized the way that companies manage their internal affairs. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest new profitable growth areas for us going forward. Now, what's cloud computing? It's essentially setting up a data center, creating a software platform, and allowing your clients to access it remotely. Now, the great thing about cloud computing is that it doesn't cost anything to add a new client. Once you've got your platform up and running, let's say a human resources management platform that you can sell to small businesses, it doesn't cost you anything to add a new small business. You just give them access to your server. So what's happening in the cloud space is that people are starting to create the sort of management services that traditionally had to be performed by teams of managers and expensive employees, but they're providing them as what they call software as a service. It's basically software that people can access from these data servers remotely. And each company can therefore access a best-in-class management system instead of having to go out and headhunt somebody who knows how to run it and see if they can do it properly inside the company. Now, there's a lot of other reasons why I like cloud companies. One of them is because they tend to operate on subscription basis, which means that they have guaranteed revenue over long periods of time. Another is that they tend to retain their clients over long periods. But essentially, the bottom line is that every company has to keep up with the Joneses when it comes to their internal management. And that means that whatever is the best practice in managing HR, managing internal inventory, managing customers, companies have to adopt this. If they don't adopt this, they won't survive. So the reason I like the cloud business services market, which is going to be the next big thing, I think, is because it's a captive market. Every company that wants to make it has to use it. And to the extent that these cloud providers are beginning to move in and create opportunities for companies to save money and become more efficient by using remote software, I think this is literally the next big thing. Now, I'm going to show you a graph that shows why that's the case. Over the last 6 years, an index of emerging cloud companies has completely beaten the S&P 500. It's performed far better. And the reason is, just as I said, these are companies that are providing services that give a company something that they have to have. It's not optional. They have to be as good as their competitors. It's also something that's very low cost to produce. It's something that can be easily scaled. So really, it all depends on how quickly you can scale up, market, etc. So My message for you today is keep an eye on the business-to-business cloud services segment. I think it's going to be the next big thing. And in fact, I'm going to be talking about one such company in the August edition of my Bauman Letter. This is Ted Bauman signing off, and don't forget to check my YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, and all the other ways that you can see me. Take care.